back here for Gym Challenge number 8, 2024. Top cut. We are about to get into quarterfinals. I'm Dennis Geisler. With me, Robert Matthews. Got a really fun one for you for quarterfinals. Giovanni Costa and Daniel Franklin coming at you. It's a pretty fun one. Gio has the Golden Go, Iron Hands, Ogre Pond Wellspring, Farigiraf, Fluttermane, and Urshifu Single Strike, while Daniel has the Landorus Therian, the Iron Bundle, the Fluttermane, that Weezing, the Kantoan form, the Rillaboom, and the Heatran. Of course, that Weezing playing with the neutralizing gas. We've seen a lot of excitement around this neutralizing gas lately. There's a lot of fun stuff that you can do with it, and I'm really excited to see what it will achieve in this battle between all of the Pokemon here. What are you feeling when you look at these teams, Robert?
So there's some like so you see this booster energy flutter. The Icy Wind usually means that's going to be speed booster, and the Goldango has has some interesting coverage options with Focus Blast and Psyshock.
Indeed it does. Daniel going to lead the Landorus Therian and the Rillaboom on the other end. Gio has the Farigiraf and the Iron Hands. Iron Hands will eat that early attack drop. Fake out pressure from Gio's side. Not going to be threatened at all for a fake out himself, as Farigiraf is there. Now some decisions to make. Both of them not honestly feeling like they're threatening all that much. There are potentially ground type moves heading into the Iron Hands, but Landorus Therian will switch out. Heatran will be the choice to come in. Farigiraf will also switch out. And Goldengo will come in, so those switches probably favored Daniel, getting that fire type in against the steel type. The fake out into the Rillaboom. And so Gio will get a tiny bit of damage down, but that'll be healed off pretty quickly by the grassy terrain. Overall, not a bad start if you are Daniel, but you have to make sure that Heatran doesn't take too much damage from anything the Iron Hands wants to throw out. It is -1, but it's still a little bit threatening. You have your Rillaboom out there. Does have some options to deal with some of these Pokemon. Golden Go, fastest thing on the field, gets a quick Make It Rain down. Some pretty solid damage to Rillaboom. Basically nothing to Golden or to Heatran.
Wood Hammer from the Rillaboom going into Iron Hands, going to have a Heat Wave. Will hit those targets. Will not knock out Goldango, but get a burn.
Won't mean all that much. Ooh. Drain Punch won't do all that much. I'd call that a good turn from Daniel overall. Got the Golden Go to pretty low HP. It will heal up just a little bit. Basically net neutral healing from the grassy terrain and the burn. Heatran will heal up a little bit, and the next Make It Rain shouldn't be able to knock out either of these Pokemon, while your next Heat Wave plus Wood Hammer should be able to knock out both of them. So if you are Gio, you really have to start pivoting around what you want to be able to do here. Iron Hands will switch out, be able to reset its attack. The Farigiraf coming in, it blocks the Grassy Glide. Nice play there.
Get Rain from Goldango knocks out the Rillaboom, but not the Heatran.
Critical hit on the Rillaboom. Not sure if that mattered. Probably didn't. It'll drop.
Heatran going for Earth Power on the Farigiraf.
So well played by Gio there, able to keep the Golden Go up. The Farigiraf switch in meant that the Grassy Glide to finish off the Golden Go couldn't go through, and Farigiraf taking a little bit of damage, but not too much, and Golden Go, I mean, it'll be able to use a third Make It Rain if it wants, or it can switch out and try to get another one out later. Kind of got some options here, but in any case, it was at least able to stand for an extra turn and take down the Rillaboom. Value in itself. Last Pokemon here for Daniel is the Iron Bundle. We've seen all of the Pokemon he brought this time.
Protect from the Farigiraf. Not going to be taking any damage. There's Freeze Dry from Bundle into Goldango, and that is going to be enough for the knockout.
Good to pick up that knockout when it's possible, and Heatran, not going to do much of anything. Magma Storm on Heatran. It's Heat Wave, Magma Storm, Earth Power, Protect. Doesn't have any Steel type coverage. But regardless, everyone gonna get a little bit of HP back from the grassy terrain. Geo will send in the Iron Hands. Does now have the Fake Out opportunity. Both these Pokemon do have Protect if Daniel just wants to wait out an additional turn here. Will indeed bundle. It is a double Protect. Now we'll see what the decision was. We'll see what it got scouted out as. It's a Fake Out into Heatran.
And the Farigiraf sets up the Trick Room.
Very clever there from Geo, getting the Trick Room down, reading that double Protect, and now the Iron Hands will be the fastest thing on the field. Should be able to do a lot of damage with that Drain Punch into either of these targets if it wants to. Most likely into the Heatran. Puts a lot of threat now down onto Daniel. Farigiraf, meanwhile, will be pretty quick under the Trick Room as well. Has Hyper Voice and Psyshock as its damage options. Be able to deal some real damage. Iron Bundle will switch out. That should be the Landorus switching in. We'll get the Intimidate down onto the Iron Hands once again, so won't be able to knock out the Heatran, I believe, with a Drain Punch, even if that's what the decision decides to be.
And there's a Terra. Since the bundle switched out, it can only be on the Heatran, and that's going to be to the Fairy Terra.
That'll be even better at taking a hit here. Heavy Slam would be the super effective move up into that Heatran, and it's Wild Charge actually, so somewhere in between the two. Does a moderate amount of damage. Farigiraf Hyper Voice, that'll do good damage, but not going to knock out the Heatran. This is Life Orb.
Magma Storm attempted in the Farigiraf, but misses.
That is rough. Missing that Magma Storm is pretty rough if you are Daniel. Heatran doesn't have a whole lot of options to stay standing at this point, and this means that kind of on the back foot if you're Daniel. You want to make sure Landorus can try to do some damage while it's still here, but this is looking more and more dire for Daniel.
Protect on the Heatran, as a Wild Charge from Iron Hands does target that slot.
If Landorus is able to take this hit, it could try to do something.
Hyper Voice into Landorus from Farigiraf, which Landorus does not survive.
He does not take that hit, and that means just get through another turn of Trick Room, but this battle feels pretty close to over. Iron Hands, even at -1 attack, gonna do a little bit of damage, and most importantly, that Hyper Voice is going to finish off Heatran and probably do a big chunk to Iron Bundle as well. Not the most specially bulky Pokemon in the world. That Life Orb Farigiraf doing some real damage, and the Drain Punch aimed at the Iron Bundle does some really big damage. Even at -1, even with Iron Bundle's surprising defense stat. And the Hyper Voice will clean it up. Geo will take game number 1 over Daniel. Very well played by Geo. Had some iffy points early in the battle, but was able to hunker down, make a really good read on a double Protect, and get the Iron Hands and Farigiraf of all Pokemon in a position to really sweep with the with that Trick Room. And that's a dangerous thing about Farigiraf, and this is not Imprison Trick Room, this is Protect Trick Room with the Psyshock and the Hyper Voice. it can get Trick Room set up. You always have to be concerned, even if it's anti-Trick Room, even if you want it to be there in case you want to turn around the Trick Room, you can still Trick Room, especially if you want to support that Iron Hands, which its main downside is it's very slow, and if it's no longer very slow, then it's really good. Iron Hand's just a great Pokemon. See if these two decide to swap anything up here in game number 2. Daniel, I believe, led with the Rillaboom Landorus Therian in the last battle. Did not bring the Weezing at all. Maybe just didn't like it in the matchup. In any case, we will get into this one. 1-0 for Geo here in quarterfinals. Winner moves on to semifinals. I really like Geo's trainer card. I really like that angle of the Dragonite. I think it's really fun. It is Rillaboom Landorus once again from Daniel.
And Fluttermane and Goldango from Geo.
So immediately, Fluttermane is a little bit threatened by Grassy Glide to some degree.
Booster energy going to boost the speed.
It'll boost the speed, so it should still be the fastest without priority. It should beat out the Landorus, despite it being choice scarfed. But we'll see if the Fluttermane is able to take a Grassy Glide, which could be the real danger here. Both these Pokemon immune to Fake Out, so the only option Rillaboom really has is just hitting. The Landorus out here as well. Could potentially switch out, not necessarily in the greatest spot here. We'll see the immediate Terastal. Fire Rillaboom.
There's fire on Rillaboom, probably to like resist the potential Make It Rain. Icy Wind from the Fluttermane is going to do quite a bit to this Landorus and not a lot to this Rillaboom. Landorus, because it is a Scarf, is going to still be faster, but not get the knockout, and Goldango is going to get the Shadow Ball off into Landorus and knock it out instead.
A narrow non-knockout there. We'll see the high horsepower. So the high horsepower will finish out the Goldango, but still got the knockout onto the Landorus, and the Terastal, the early Terastal from Rillaboom, frankly, it didn't do all that much. It made it resist the Icy Wind, but, I mean, it would have taken decent damage from the Icy Wind, but not ridiculous, and it was probably there both to resist the Make It Rain and a potential Fairy move like Moonblast. Not necessarily that it would have been targeted with Moonblast, but still, not a great situation to be in if you're Daniel. Now Iron Hands gets to come in, no Intimidate support to try to slow down that Iron Hands at any point, and this is getting kind of dicey. Switch in on the other side is the Heatran. Not a whole lot of options for Fluttermane against Heatran. It's one of Fluttermane's worst matchups, many would say. So at the very least, that is a positive for Daniel, is that if either Iron Hands could fake out the Rillaboom to try to stop it from getting anything done, which it does.
But Fluttermane also going to Shadow Ball into the Rillaboom as well.
How much damage?
Power from Heatran into Iron Hands, and to do a little less than half.
Yeah, not terrible damage, but that's the problem here if you are Daniel, is that you're not... The Heatran isn't super threatened by the Iron Hands, so you kind of want to get everything else out of the way. You do have the knockout on the Goldango already, so you just need one more out of the way.
Iron Hands is going to switch out to the Farigiraf.
Both block a priority move, but not going to be the decision here.
Rillaboom is going to take the Shadow Ball, Burst Power from the Heatran and Farigiraf, and Wood Hammer from Rillaboom also into Farigiraf, getting that knockout.
Nice job by Daniel there, just layering up the damage. These Pokemon really aren't taking that much damage from Fluttermane. The booster speed does lose out on a little bit of attack, or a little bit of that special attack, and that's costing Geo a little bit here, as it's a really slow process to try to finish off this Rillaboom. And meanwhile, this Heatran is getting to do basically whatever it wants to as this continues. And just note, like, the bulk of this Iron Hand. We'll see the Frastal here.
The Iron Hands.
Fire Hands. Fire and Hands.
Protect on the Flutter Mane.
Does mean, okay,
And
Heatran
also
and Flutter Mane
Heatran.
will both protect, so a Fake Out on a Rillaboom will probably finish it off?
But the Fake Out is targeted into
it's
Heatran.
targeted to Heatran. Interesting choice there.
And Rillaboom goes for Grassy Glide into Flutter.
Alright, well, not a whole lot happening in that turn. We just got to see the Terra Fire onto the Iron Hands, which could be a bit of a danger in the near future, as that opens it up to continued Earth powers from Heatran, as well as high horsepowers from Rillaboom. Same moves as before, but it's still open to that.
But what the Terra does do, in addition to weakening Woodhammers, is actually make the Magma Storm less effective as well.
That is true, and that will be valuable if this goes to a very slow, very late game here. Excuse me. Grassy Glide not going to knock out the Flutter Mane. Been wondering about that the entire time, and it didn't do it. Shadow Ball will finish off the Rillaboom. See what the option is from the Heatran.
Goes for the Heat Wave.
Will knock out the Flutter Mane. This also means the Iron Hand is immune to burn, so it can't lose half of its attack stat from that.
And Drain Punch is going to do quite a bit to that Heatran.
It'll heal up quite a bit in return. The Heatran, with all of its self-healing, is actually helping Iron Hands with some additional self-healing. So the next Drain Punch will do even more damage in return here.
The Iron Hands is now by itself.
The Iron Bundle on the other side, but we saw that take tons of
Heatran
damage.
And Bundle as well.
Did see Bundle take tons of damage in the last one against that Drain Punch. Geo probably just wants to...
Oh, Hydro Pump misses on the Bundle.
That's a tragic miss there. The Earth Power will do good damage. We'll see what the Hydro Pump can do next turn if it's able to hit, but that could be the battle.
Drain Punch knocks out the Heatran.
Iron Bundle, now the only one standing in front of this Iron Hands and total domination of this set.
And Iron Bundle will hit the Hydro Pump this time.
Oh!
It is just going to do not enough. And the Iron Bundle will itself get knocked out by the Drain Punch.
A rough Hydro Pump miss, and that'll spell the end of this tournament for Daniel. Geo moving on to semifinals. Definitely very well played by Geo. Definitely saw the value of Iron Hands there. One of the best Pokemon in Regulation E. One of the best Pokemon in the Paldea region, and we are seeing that here. Daniel definitely played that pretty well as well, especially in game number 2. Definitely had it won if not for the Hydro Pump miss. But in any case, it'll be interesting to see Geo progressing forward in this tournament. We'll see if we see him in finals, and we will take a quick break. On the other side, semifinals here at Gym Challenge number 8. Don't go anywhere.